Hello, chess friends. My name is Arya, and I'm back again with another amazing composition from the book Chess Chronicles by G.J. Campbell that was made in 1855. This composition will teach us how you can make a draw even in a totally losing game and how you can apply the technique of a self stalemate. The moment you see this position, you will notice that black, that is our opponent, has two amazing pass pawns and that too outer at g6 and h. Now these two pawns are unstoppable. Why? Because they're connected pass pawns. Connected pass pawns are the most powerful pass pawns in the game of chess, and they will be able to promote on the pawns h8 and g1. Now the bishop on e3 can only stop the pawn on g6 from promoting to the g1 square, but that is almost impossible too, because with h7 it will protect the g1 square and you will not be able to stop that from happening. And you might try to promote with a5, but then after h2, a6, b takes a6 and king takes a6, you can try to promote, but that will only happen in two moves, while black can promote at the very next move, make it a queen, and you will end up losing the game because we don't have, or a draw, because it's better to get a half point than give up without a fight. And so the first thing you can notice in white's position is that the pawns on g6 and d4 have no squares to move to. And so that gives us an option of a self-stalemate. Self-stalemate is when you put yourself in a position self-stalemate is when you put yourself in a position of not being able to make any more moves while you're still giving the opponent a chance. But now it's forced, and so it is going to become a stalemate no matter what variation the opponent plays. And this game is a very good example of how you can do that without blundering any major pieces. Because when you blunder a piece, you are giving the opponent a chance for a proper attack with a counter play. But when you don't give any pieces to the opponent is forced to follow your plan without you playing any very main attacking or active moves. When you are going for a self stalemate, you should always try playing defensive and very passively, so you limit the squares that you can move to. And you can do this by the brilliant move of bishop to d2. Why are you playing this? You will be seeing in this amazing composition in the very next moves. So black will preferably play pawn to g2 so that after attack our pawn on d4 and threaten to capture it, which will give black a very big and sufficient materialistic advantage. What can we play? We will play this amazing move with bishop to a5. And you can notice immediately that we have started limiting the squares that we can move to. White's king no longer has any squares to move to, nor does the pawn on a4, because none of these, the only squares that these pieces had was the square on a5, which is now occupied by the bishop. And so you have limited the moves that your king and your pawn on a4 can go to. Also, we have cut off a diagonal that the after g1 queen, black threatens to capture the pawn on d4, and now we will play this chess magic, that is pawn to b4, and now you no longer have any squares to move to because the king can no longer move to b4, the bishop cannot move to b4, your pawns on b4 cannot move, the pawn on a4 cannot move, and nor can any of your other pieces. And black had threatened to capture the pawn on d4, and after queen takes d4, you don't have any move, and this is now a stalemate. So what we saw in this position is how you can turn a completely losing game into a draw. And how do you set it up? We can learn is that first of all, try to start limiting your squares. Don't give your opponent a chance for counterattack. And also, just because you want to do a stalemate, don't leave your king in the center, because in the center, your king has the maximum number of moves. Try cornering your own pieces, but don't corner it to a point where it will make a checkmate. So always be careful about where you're going to move the pieces, because even if you're trying for a stalemate, you should always keep in mind that we are doing this because we are in a disadvantageous position. If you are in an advantageous position, don't go for stalemates or draws. Always go for a win. But if you know and if you feel that, especially in the end game, you don't have any ways to protect yourself, you can always go for a draw, a stalemate, a perpetual, or a repeated move, or a pictographic position. So, I hope you learned something new from this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. All your likes and your comments give me a lot of motivation to keep posting more videos, and switch on the notification bell so you can know the next time I post a new video. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.